Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am once again healthy. I am bringing you chess content. Apologies if my voice sounds awful. I've still got like a little thing here in the back of my throat, but I am mostly healthy. I hope all of you are the same. You are healthy, you are well, you are having a good time. If you're not having a good time, I hope that it improves. But we're here to talk about chess. So this week I produced no content except yesterday, which was Friday, where I streamed for the first time in about 2 weeks or so, a week or 2 weeks. It was Freestyle Friday. You could tell if you watched that stream. Started off strong. Fatigue just killed me. I ended the tournament with like 4 losses. Finished 5.5 out of 11. Is that important for today's video? Absolutely not. But I'm telling you how my week went because that kind of symbolized how the game that I'm going to show you went. So in the week, I was fortunate enough to go coach at a local school. I coach chess at a local school, and recently I've been given one of my youngest learners ever. She's about 6 years old, 7 years old, and I'm trying to teach her chess. So this is her third week of chess. So reserve all judgment, but it was an amazing game. Some slight housekeeping. Yes, I have changed what the board looks like. That's because I want you to imagine that this game was actually played on a real board between these two players. So you can see we have Martin, and for the first time in his life, he has been given the Grand Master title because compared to my student, he's definitely a Grand Master, and she has an ELO of 1. My student has an ELO of 1. And I asked her to play against Martin because there's nobody else. Martin is the weakest bot on chess.com, so it's a great way for people to start. He makes lots of bad moves. You can really do a lot of teaching with him. So she played the move e4, and you say, wow, you've taught her a lot. No, I haven't. This is the move I showed her to play. Martin played c6, typically the Caro-Kann defense, and she played f4, which is not a bad move. I mean, normally in the Caro-Kann you play d4, but f4 is not a bad move. Martin here plays a5 and says his kids say hi. That's all you need to know about Martin. And here I told her, don't click another pawn. You can click on the pieces and you can see the squares highlight with little circles. So please move this knight. I was hoping she was going to go here. If she went here, I wouldn't have been happy about it, but I would have been okay. But instead, she played knight to h3. And here, Martin played knight to f6. And I told her, hey, look, the knight is attacking the pawn. We need to defend it. Now I am well aware that the best move in this position, I'm going to change my highlighting color, is to push the pawn and attack the knight. Or, at the very least, to bring this knight back to f2 to protect the pawn. I am well aware of that. But I don't want her to move pieces multiple times in a row. So I got her to play d3. Knight to d5. And I said, hey, remember, we've practiced pawn captures. Remember, pawns go sideways. It's highlighted in a different color so you can see it properly. The orange is not working. So I showed her, and she took the knight. She took the knight. Martin captured back, and I said, look, let's move our bishop out. I clicked on the dark squared bishop, and then she moved it out to b3. So not pretty good. She's, +4. Not for long. The queen comes out. Now, those of you who are aware, that is a free queen. My student was not aware. But I showed her, hey, look, click the bishop. You see, there's a big circle around the queen. You can take the queen. So she did. She took the queen. And Martin here, just before he played queen b6, or just after, he says, it's tough for me to play chess in real life because I'm allergic to wood. As are many of us, I would imagine. Took the queen. He pushed a random pawn. I said, look, we've moved a lot of pieces. Let's move our knight out. So she did. To the right square, c3. She didn't move it to the edge of the board, which I was very happy about. And she's +10. But she's also about 1 elo, so Martin pushes a pawn. And b4. And she played b4, and I was like, please, Martin, if you ever do me a favor, please don't play en passant. Because if I have to try and explain that to her, it's going to be a nightmare. Why it happened. But no, he didn't play en passant. Instead, after b4, he played e6. Attacking the pawn. So I pointed this out to her, and I said we need to defend the pawn. So we did. a3. Then she attacked you. Now I'm fully aware that this pawn has been hanging. And you can probably grab a whole lot of stuff in the center. But I left her to play the next few moves by herself. So she took the pawn. Martin pushed another pawn he didn't even capture back. And she took it and hung her queen in one move. This is the moment I looked away. I saw her take the pawn. So I said, look, you can take this. And I expected the following sequence. Takes. When I looked away, because I had to attend to another student. I came back here. I was like, didn't you have a queen on the board? And she then proceeded, so Martin here says, a generous offer, since the queen is the most powerful piece, I will capture it. And here she proceeded to play king to e2. I've got no idea. Rook goes back, and I think she saw that Martin was moving his rook, so she moved her rook. Also up and down the file. That rook can't really move up and down the file, because it's blocked by a pawn. Martin repeats moves, but she pushes her pawn forward. The bishop goes there. Now 100%, those of you who are well aware, as for some reason I accidentally flipped the board, that's a free bishop. 100%, that's a free bishop. She's 6. Her age is stronger than her elo. So she played rook g1. Pawn captures. Knight jumps to the side. Knight gets attacked. King f3. Knights die. Bishop goes. Now, you can bring the bishop back to defend your knight, or you can take this and lose the knight. And then, take this and this. And you're still, almost +5. It's plus 4.7. Knight to h7. Hanging, I want to say 2 pieces. It's not 2 pieces, because you capture the bishop. This knight is dead. It cannot, all the squares it can go to, that's not one of the squares, all the squares it can go to, it dies. Not to mention, your rook is also hanging. So you're going to lose another piece. But instead of that, knight to h7, king e7 was played. And now it is +7 again for my student if she just captures the bishop. No. Martin takes the bishop. Her rook is hanging. I've pointed that out. She leaves the rook to hang. Martin is now officially winning. He has not been winning in this game since move 4. Excuse me. Since here, this is already too far. That was move 6. Martin has not been winning, but equal. The game was last equal-ish on move 3. On move 4, Martin lost the game. All the way now, on move 21 of this, learning game. I want to call it something stronger, but it's a learning game. On move 21, he's now winning. He takes the rook. We push the pawn. Pawn falls. My student is completely lost. And I would be devastated for her to lose this game. She doesn't know that Martin's the easiest opponent she's going to face. But I would be devastated. I don't want her first game, because we played a mock game the week prior. She just copied everything I did. We played an Italian, and it was da-da-da-da-da-da. She copied everything I did. We ended the game in a draw. A draw. Time ended. So she goes here. Now, you should move the knight out the way. The alternative is to go here. That's what the engine thinks is the best move, but king d6 and then don't 2 knights hang? No, because you've got this astounding move. Where is it? Knight g5, where you hit the rook. So you can't capture the knight because you hit the rook. Instead of that, h3, rook takes, bishop f1. And here, the happiest moment of my life came. Martin took the pawn. And she took back. Pawn push, takes, check. Moves the knight back. To hang. She could have gone back to the square she was at, but this is obviously innate in beginners. You don't want to go back to where you were. So she goes to another square. But the king moves out the way. She attacks the knight. And she just moves 2 squares and takes the bishop. She's now winning again. She's winning again. Pawn comes forward. Now you just capture that, but she doesn't. Rook goes over. She defends. Another pawn push. She moves the bishop out the way. Now here, if you're really strong, you just take this. You just take this because then your bishop is really strong. If I make all these highlights in blue, I think the blue looks better. Your bishop's just really strong, and it's got a nice pawn structure behind it. But no. Knight c3. Now takes. She captures back, which I had to show her. Knight goes there. King comes up. Blundering, yes. For those of you who realize it, blundering a fork. Where it is just king and rook are completely forked. But no. King e6. Takes. 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 She was just trying to take stuff at this point. She was just like, can I click a piece and take something? Takes the rook. Bishop takes. She's now completely winning because she's up a rook. She's up 5 points of material. This game, the next few moves are just beyond crazy. Like, you would think that you could blunder less. That she could win this game. Maybe not checkmate, but maybe she could get a completely winning position where it's like, a BMW model. It's like a M56 or whatever. You would think maybe she can just simplify everything and have a rook. If she can keep her rook, she'll be fine. She pushes the pawn. Check. Not quite a fork, because miraculously, the knight defends the rook. She moves the king over, and the king slides over. Gives a check. Hanging the knight. Takes. And the best thing is you can't take this. Because, your rook... If I can find something else. Your rook is hanging. So you can't do this because your rook hangs. But that doesn't happen. Knight c5 check. King e8. We bring the knight back. Now your rook is hanging. But miraculously you're going to survive. King moves up. Slides the rook out the way. But loses the knight. And here... Rook f6 is apparently a good move because you win the bishop. If I was going to direct her here, instead of king f4, I would have just said take this because you attack the king. And this is a draw because that pawn's going to fall soon. But king f4 is played. Martin grabs the pawn. We push. King c6. a5. Knight takes a5. King e4. King b5, king takes d4, bishop b7, king e5, king c5. And here Martin says, I think I might turn into a werewolf. Tonight, please don't tell my wife.